What's up, kids? You are back with me in my house. All right, so we're going to revisit the subject of indoor air pollution, and specifically we're going to touch on fire alarms. Now, um, obviously fire can happen in the home. Fire happens in billions of homes because people are using biomass fuel to heat their homes. Now, we discussed that in another video, but let's talk about what you're going to see right now, or what you see in modern homes here in the United States, is various types of alarms. Now, those are all fire alarms, but they're all different. They have pros and cons. That's why there's so many of them. If there was one perfect alarm, we wouldn't need like 4, 5, 6 different options. Okay, so I'm going to spin the camera around and show you just a few of the ones in my house. All right, there's 2 different alarms right there. There's a different type of alarm right there. And there's yet another type of alarm over there. And a whole bunch of blinding white snow. So what are these alarms? If fire is one issue, shouldn't there be one alarm? Well, no. Okay? Now, you can have lots of different types of alarms in a house. Some of them are heat alarms. Some of them are smoke alarms. Some of them are carbon monoxide alarms. I'm turning lights off so I'm not wasting energy. Anyway, there's probably a half a dozen different on the market, and you're going to hear them called optical alarms, and you're going to see ionization alarms, photoelectric alarms, carbon monoxide alarms, heat alarms, and then you see like in a public school or in an office building, a sprayer with a heat trigger. So I've just listed like 6 for you right there, and part of what you're going to do in your notes, that this was what this is, I'm laying out your outline for you, is you're going to take 5 different types of fire alarms, and then you're going to write how they work, where they get used, and what are their pros and cons for each of those 5, okay? And you can rewind this a little bit if you just want to use the ones that I mentioned here, or you can get on the internet and take a look at all the different types of alarms that are out there. Some of them are combination alarms. There's a lot going on in the marketplace for detecting fire in the home. Now, some of them are glass break alarms. Some of them are radon alarms. So that brings me to what is it? What is radon? This needs to go in your notes too. What is radon? Where does it come from? How does it get in your house? And what does it do? One of the other issues that you have inside a home is VOCs and formaldehydes. Now, I'm sitting on this leather sofa right here and these couch pillows and stuff. Now, a lot of these are nailed together, but there's also tons and tons of glues, preservatives, things used in the leather and the carpets, everything else. Like, for instance, glues that have formaldehyde in them. A lot of them also have VOCs, which are volatile organic compounds. Now, that can be from paint, spray paint. It can be from a myriad of different glues and, magic potions and widgets and gadgets that they use in a house, like caulking and all sorts of stuff that release these volatile organic compounds into the home. And there's many, many different types. Volatile meaning that it is reactive. Organic meaning that it's carbon-based. Compound meaning it's a large complex molecule of some sort. And so the VOCs is not one thing. Generally when we talk about automotive in the atmosphere, when we say VOCs, what we're talking about is unburned gas. But inside a home, when we're talking about indoor air pollution, that can be dozens of different chemicals that are all reactive. Okay, they're not inert. They are going to react with your lungs, your skin, whatever. And they are organic compounds. They're carbon-based, and they may be massive molecules with many, many different properties and reactions that they can be involved in. VOCs can be in lots of different places, and these compounds may not be necessarily reactive, but can still be a dangerous health hazard in terms of drinking, like poisoning, particularly with children and pets, or aspirating, breathing them as you clean the house. There's all these different cleaners and potions, pesticides, right? Various like pet cleaners and maybe some carpet cleaners, all sort of stuff. All of these chemicals are not stuff that really belongs in your body, but they're in your house and you're breathing them, you're touching them, all sort of other stuff, and you're stuck in this box with them. Now, a lot of times we use products like Febreze, which is just some other weird potion that we use to cover up the smell of some other thing, right? And what it comes down to is you're breathing all that. All right, you're in my garage, and that's why you hear the garage door opening here on a particularly cold day. This is all the days run together now. This is Wednesday, and I think it's like 10 degrees outside. It just snowed like crazy. So I'll show you you're familiar with Hank the truck that you see a lot of my videos. That mound of snow there is my wife's car. And that over there, all that white, that's a pond. Anyway, on cold days, or particularly hot days, a lot of times people park a car in the garage. Sometimes they may start the car and the heater to make sure that it's warm when they get in it or cold when they get in it or whatever. Running a car indoors, even with the garage door a little bit open like that, is going to release a lot of carbon monoxide into the home. Now, the ceiling of garages may or may not be sealed. In other words, the carbon monoxide in a lot of homes can drift up and go through the ceiling and through the ductwork and things like that and end up in the home. Okay, and that's why a lot of people that have like attic, they've converted into a bedroom or whatever, is not actually legal because there isn't a carbon monoxide and radon barrier for that room. There's all sort of stuff that might be in a garage that can become an indoor air pollution, like, you know, things like motor oils and gasoline. Like I got a gas can over here for my lawnmower, all sorts of other paint and construction materials and various glues and all sort of other stuff in here as well that are different from all the cleaning materials, glues, you know, epoxies, all sort of stuffs that are inside the home. So you've got two different indoor spaces, but vastly different indoor air pollution problems. All right, this is a fake fireplace. It runs on natural gas. Now, this one's natural gas. And some of them are propane, there's lots of different things. But this is a fake one. I don't burn wood in the house. But billions, literally billions of people do burn wood in the house. Also, billions of people smoke in the house, like smoke cigarettes or pipes, hookah, who knows what, right? But as you smoke these things, whatever's being smoked in the home, whether it's wood in a fireplace or some sort of recreational smoking or whatever, then that leads to particulates and carbon monoxide in the home. Particulates are tiny, tiny, tiny particles of ash that are in the home. And like I said, that can come from a myriad of sources, but either way, it all ends up in your lungs, okay? So what your lungs are supposed to use is clean atmospheric air. That's what they've evolved to use. Now, when you change that with anything from spray paint, or you bring in a carpet that's been sealed, glued together, Scotch guarded and everything else, and then you smoke a cigarette in the home or whatever, you've got half a dozen indoor air pollution problems like that. So this is the last part. So we've already talked about the different types of fire alarms. We've already talked about radon, okay? So the next thing that you need to add to your notes is sources of VOCs in indoor air pollution in the home, okay? So sources of VOCs in the home. You also need to look at sources of carbon monoxide, sources of particulate air pollution, sources of nitrogen oxides in the home as well, right? So you're looking at where these come from and what they cause in the human body. That needs to be added to your notes as well. Last but not least, the final thing we're going to mention is mold, dust, and asbestos. Asbestos is a fire retardant insulation, or a material that was in insulation for a long, long time. It recently came back in the news. It was outlawed for a long time, and then we had certain politicians that were a big fan of asbestos and wanted to bring asbestos no longer regulated at all and bring it back into common use. And it does work very well as a fire retardant insulation. However, it gives you cancer when you breathe it, okay? So take a look into asbestos and add that to your notes. And I'm not going to expound too much on dust and mold, but the main things you need to add into your notes are where dust accumulates in indoor spaces. So you're going to be looking into the ventilation systems and the heating and AC, HVAC systems and stuff like that. With mold, unless your house is brand new, even if your house is brand new, then there's a chance you've got mold in it from some sort of water damage somewhere, or wood that was particularly wet or something like that when they put it in the home. Who knows? And particularly if you've ever had toilets and showers and all sorts of things over the last 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, then you've probably got some sort of water damage in your house and some sort of mold in your house. Now, it isn't always a problem. That doesn't mean that the sky is falling, okay? But you do need to know where to look for an excessive mold issue in indoor spaces in a home, and what mold, particularly black mold, can do to your body.